Okay, picture this. You're facing maybe the biggest exam of your entire career, right? The California bar.
All those years of law school, the prep.
Exactly.
Hmm.
And then the tech just fails. The online platform, it's crashing. Maybe your essays, they just vanish.
Oh, that sounds like a nightmare. Screens lagging, error messages.
Total chaos. That's what many people experience taking the February 2025 California bar exam. But that's actually not the whole story, is it?
No, not at all, because what came out after all that technical mess was, well, pretty surprising. The State Bar of California actually admitted that artificial intelligence, AI, was used to help develop some of the multiple choice
On
questions.
that very same exam, the
Oh,
one that was already plagued with tech problems.
yeah. So that's what we're diving into today, this really unexpected intersection of cutting-edge AI and this incredibly high-stakes professional licensing exam.
We want to unpack what happened in February and really dig into this AI revelation. Just so you have the numbers, there were 171 scored multiple choice questions.
Right. And 100 of those came from Kaplan people. Probably know that name from test prep.
Sure. And another 48 were apparently from a standard first-year law student's exam.
But the focus here is on the remaining 23 questions.
Exactly. Those 23 were developed by a company called ACS Ventures.
Hmm.
They are the state bar's psychometrician.
Yeah.
Basically, they're expert on, testing and measurement.
And those are the questions that were developed, at least in part, using AI.
Right. So our mission for this deep dive is to figure out what this all means. What are the implications for those aspiring lawyers who went through that chaotic exam and now have this AI factor to think about? And, what does it mean for the legal profession more broadly?
Well, let's maybe start by just quickly revisiting the exam day itself. You had these widespread reports of technical failures, platform crashes, problem-saving work.
Just immense frustration, surely. People trying to demonstrate years of learning, and they're fighting the technology.
It adds this whole layer of difficulty and stress that nobody signed up for.
Absolutely. And then after dealing with that, the news about AI comes out.
And the timing, as you mentioned, is, well, it's notable. The AI disclosure happened after the initial complaints about the technical problems were already making headlines.
Which does make you wonder, doesn't it? Was it related? Or just unfortunate timing?
Hard to say for sure, but the sequence is interesting. First the tech meltdown, then the AI news.
And specifically these 23 questions from ACS Ventures, the State Bar's own experts in testing.
Developed with AI assistance.
Yeah. So how did people in the legal education field react to this?
Pretty strongly, I'd say. We saw Mary Basic. She's an assistant dean at UC Irvine Law School.
Okay.
She called the whole thing a debacle, and she specifically said it was unbelievable that people who aren't lawyers were apparently involved in drafting these questions using AI.
Wow, debacle is a strong word. It suggests, a real failure in the process.
Definitely. And then you have Katie Moran. She's a bar exam prep specialist at the University of San Francisco. She described the admission as, quote, staggering.
Staggering. Okay. Did she elaborate on why?
Yeah, she pointed out something quite specific and potentially problematic. She highlighted that the same company, ACS Ventures,
The psychometrician firm.
right, they were involved in drafting these AI-assisted questions, potentially, as Basic suggested, with non-lawyers involved. But then, ACS Ventures was also paid to assess and approve those same questions.
Wait, so they helped write them and they evaluated them?
That's what Moran pointed out, yes.
Huh. That immediately raises flags, doesn't it? Like
Well,
a potential conflict of interest.
it certainly looks that way. If the creator is also the validator, well, it calls the independence of that validation process into question. How objective can that assessment really be?
It's like grading your own homework, but the stakes are infinitely higher. People's careers are on the line.
Exactly.
Okay, but we should hear the other side too. What did the state bar itself say about this? How did they respond to these concerns?
Well, Leah Wilson, who's the State Bar's executive director, put out a statement. She expressed, and I'm quoting here, confidence in the validity of the multiple choice questions. She stated they believe the questions accurately assess legal competence.
So despite the AI involvement and the concerns raised, their official position is that the questions themselves were sound.
That seems to be their stance, yes, that the integrity of that part of the exam wasn't compromised by the use of AI in the development.
Okay, so we have these clashing perspectives. Legal educators calling it a debacle, raising conflict of interest concerns. And the state bar saying, no, the questions were valid.
It's quite a contrast.
So given all this, the tech failures, the AI news, the controversy, What's actually happening for the people who took that February exam?
Yeah.
What are the practical consequences?
Well, the State Bar isn't just dismissing the problems, they've actually announced a plan. They're going to ask the California Supreme Court for permission to adjust the scores for the February test takers.
Not just the scores, how it, like, curve them differently.
The specifics weren't fully detailed in what we saw, but the act of requesting an adjustment is significant. It's an acknowledgement that something about that exam administration, whether the tech issues, the AI factor, or the combination, potentially impacted performance.
That is a big deal. It suggests they recognize the process wasn't fair or standard, at least.
It seems like a direct response to the culmination of these issues.
Okay, stepping back from the immediate situation in California, what does this whole episode tell us about using AI in these kinds of high-stakes professional exams generally?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It really forces us to confront the potential benefits and perhaps more importantly, the risks.
What might the benefits be, theoretically?
Well, you could argue AI might help generate a wider pool of questions, maybe analyze past exams to ensure consistent difficulty, or perhaps even identify novel ways to test certain skills. Efficiency could be a factor, too.
Okay, efficiency, variety. But the risks seem pretty significant based on this reaction.
Absolutely. I mean, can AI truly grasp the nuances of legal reasoning? What about potential biases baked into the algorithms used to develop or select questions? That's a huge concern.
And the point Mary Basic made about non-lawyers potentially being involved, even if they're using AI tools, does that undermine the test's claim to measure legal competence?
It certainly raises that question. Legal competence involves deep subject matter expertise, critical thinking, ethical judgment, things that are complex to assess. Can a process involving AI, potentially guided by non-experts, adequately capture all that?
It feels like a fundamental question about what these exams are even for.
Precisely. What does legal competence actually mean in the 21st century, and how do we best measure it? Does introducing AI into the creation process help or hinder that goal?
Okay, so let's try to wrap this up. We started with the chaos of the February 2025 California bar exam, major technical failures.
Right. Then came the really surprising news. AI was used to help develop a subset of the multiple choice questions by the bar's own testing expert, ACS Ventures.
This led to strong pushback from legal educators, calling it a debacle, raising concerns about non-lawyers drafting questions and potential conflicts of interest, with ACS Ventures evaluating its own work.
Meanwhile, the state bar expressed confidence in the validity of those questions, but acknowledged the overall problems by seeking to adjust the scores for the affected test takers.
And this whole situation kind of forces a bigger conversation.
Definitely. It pushes us to think hard about the role of AI in professional licensing and assessment more broadly. What are the ethical lines? What safeguards do we absolutely need?
So the thought we want to leave you with is this. As AI becomes more integrated into professional fields, how do we ensure it's used responsibly, especially when evaluating competence for crucial roles like lawyers?
What does this California incident suggest about the balance we need to strike between embracing technological advancements and upholding the core principles, the integrity of professional evaluation?
What does competence truly mean in fields like law? And can AI really help us assess it? Or does it risk missing the mark? Something to really chew on as these technologies continue to evolve.